He wants to make an entrance like Punk. There he is. Mr. Shuli is here?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I don't see him. He wants to make an entrance like Punk. There he is. Shalom, Mr. Shuli.
What's happening? How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for giving us your time tonight.
No problem. You got it.
What would you be doing tonight if you were not on this show?
Well, I just finished dinner with the fam, so we'd probably be watching something. Big fans of that show Alone. We watch that a lot because I think me and my wife secretly just want to get the fuck away from these kids and just be in a tent somewhere and you know, surrounded by bears and cougars. Seems like a better life. But no, we're you know, I usually try, if I'm not here in my office on my computer, I'm either recording or going live. I do 3 podcasts. I stream on Twitch, you know. But you know, the dad and husband comes first.
Yes.
So whenever I get an opening, I'm usually down here doing something stupid and childish.
And I can relate to all of that because well, I got 3 daughters. So when I'm not being a dad or a husband, I'm down here doing the same goddamn thing. Being childish, doing this show, playing a video game. Right now I'm into The Last of Us Part 2. Yeah, I'm late to the game, but that's what I've been doing right now.
Yeah, I never got into Last of Us. I'm just I have a lot of you know, unreleased anger deep down inside, so I need a good first person shooter where, you know, I can tell some 12-year-old in Iowa I'm going to beat the shit out of them when I fly out there. You know what I mean?
Will you be pre-ordering the new Modern Warfare?
Already on it. Done.
Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Are you going to be into Madden coming out tomorrow?
Nope. The Madden ship has sailed on me. When the computer's better than you, it's time to hang up the cleats, my friend.
That is true. So have you moved completely over to PC gaming?
Yes, I'm on PC full time. But you know, I said, unlike Madden, FIFA is a big love of mine. Love FIFA, love soccer. It's pretty much the only sport I watch these days.
Okay, so I was gonna sorry to cut you off there. I was gonna get to that later in the show, but I'll get to it now. I'm a big FIFA guy myself. I play pro clubs a ton.
Yeah.
And my pro clubs, the other guy that plays pro clubs with me has gotten me to do it on the PC. Blah blah blah. But we're Liverpool fans here, and I know that you are a Liverpool supporter as well. So, thoughts so far on our first 2 games?
We need midfield help, man. Yeah, that's the thing. The midfield, we miss Thiago greatly. He's hurt. He's down. He's usually running the ship for us back there. We got some, you know, we got who's that kid we picked up from Fulham? I think Carvalho or something.
Yeah,
he's good. It takes time too, man. Even Darwin, you know, everybody's so quick to jump on him. And they would do the same if, you know, Holland over there in Man City would be choking up a storm. They'd be all over his shit too. When you get to that level, you're expected to be great 24/7, and you're joining a new team. You're joining a new organization with a different approach to the game, and you got to learn it. And you got to get comfortable with these people, and so it's just going to take time. You can't, you know. I've been a fan through the horrid years, so I'm fine with this start. It could be much, much worse.
How did you become a soccer fan?
My dad used to try and get me to what my dad's, you know, Israeli guy. Always grew up on soccer, loves it. I was never interested in it. I was football, hockey, you know, quick and with contact. Those were the sports that I liked. And when I moved out to New York to start working for the Stern Show, the cable company that I had out there had Fox Soccer Channel on it,
Okay.
and this was the game that I watched was the Champions League 2004, Liverpool against AC Milan,
Mm,
and the comeback and the victory, and I was just like, that's my team. I knew nothing about him other than I just watched an amazing game.
yeah.
I loved watching Stevie G play.
Yep.
He's my favorite player, and then the love affair was born, and so I've never strayed since.
Yeah. I was late to the game on soccer as well, and ironically, I became a soccer fan
Hmm.
because that same friend of mine that I play pro clubs with got me to play FIFA 10
Hmm.
because we had nothing else to do. We played FIFA 10 pro clubs, and I was like, I love this. I love this. I love the game that I'm playing physically, a video game. They say video games ruin society. I don't know. But and then I'm a big Red Sox fan. Red Sox have a big stake in Liverpool, so I
Right.
gravitated towards them. And since then, I don't know what year that was. I've been full Liverpool all the way. So
Well, nobody's gonna knock you for that. Not on this taping, anyways.
not on this. And it's weird because I was saying at the start of the show tonight, you were on the list to be on this show when I first had it come out of my brain a long time ago. Because I feel, I mean, you said it earlier, Stern Show. I've been listening to the Stern Show since probably I, I mean, I could turn a radio on, and
Right.
and then I found out you were a Liverpool fan. I don't know how, and it's weird. And then you had things with the Iron Sheik and Beetlejuice. It's just so strange that I feel like I know you, but I don't know you, which is odd. Do you get that a lot?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was the same for me before I started
I
working there.
bet.
You know, I was a super fan for many, many years, listening, every chance I would get. I would record best ofs, that segments that I really liked. And, I was totally in 100% on the show, since the first time I saw it. I saw the Channel 9 show first, and
Yep.
then the radio show came out on the West Coast where I could hear it finally. And I was hooked up until that point. And yeah, I remember when they came to Vegas and I was living out there, and this was before I worked for them. And I just started calling into the show, and you see all these people walking by, Jason Kaplan, Ralph Cirilla, and you're just like, oh, there's Ralph. And you say hi. And then having worked there and like been a part of segments that fans remember. You're walking around and somebody's like, "Hey, how's the baby clothes?" Or how's your mom doing?
Right.
And I'm just like, "Who the fuck?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." You forget, how many people are actually listening and listening over and over again. And yeah, so it's like I get it. I've been on both sides, so
Yeah.
I understand it.
Um, Before I move on to anything else, I have a ton of bullet points which I may or may not get to. My wife tonight, who took my two oldest daughters out to see a wedding singer play.
Ooh,
Yeah, right. Wanted you to know, Mr. Shuli, that she
yeah.
is very sad that she will not be here for tonight's show, because she's a big Shuli fan and Stern fan. So she
She's a fan of Tan Mom, right?
she's a fan of Tan Mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most wives or women that are fans of mine love the Tan Mom voice. That's their hello. How are you?
Do you
No.
was there a puppet for her? Do you still have
There
that?
was. They
Jeff
made
the-
a puppet. No, the show made that puppet. I made this one behind me. That's a
Okay.
Jeff the Drunk puppet that I found in the trash, and I thought it was fitting that I turned this thing that was in the trash into Jeff the Drunk. So we bought some baby clothes. We bought that cowboy hat you put on dogs.
Yep.
I found his John Lennon glasses and put one googly eye on in
That makes
different
sense.
spots. So he's got his wonky. It's very authentic,
Yeah.
and I kept it when I left. I said I made it. It's like a divorce. I'm keeping the baby.
Ironically, Jeff the Drunk is literally from my neck of the woods, from right where my wife works. My wife works, well, I'll let it out there at the VA hospital, but right across the street is Albany Med, which Jeff probably
Albany, New York.
yeah,
Albany.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Does
So,
she know Jeff? Has he sent her a dick pic yet?
Not yet. No, he sent me a bunch. I was
Yeah. Well,
pretending.
I mean, the mistake women make with that is they say hello.
Yes.
That is the mistake. That's the opening that he needs to send you his stock dick pic photo that his go-to, his best picture ever taken.
Do you think there's a watermark on that dick pic?
Getty Images. They own the rights to it.
But yeah, so my wife was disappointed tonight, but yeah, she's parenting. Someone's got to do it.
Tell her I'm used to disappointing wives, and I apologize yet again.
No problem. I will ask a personal question, which you do not have to answer. The last time I heard your personal life on the Stern Show, you had 2 kids. Do you have 2 kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Cool.
That I'm aware of. You know.
Yeah.
I did a lot of touring with Beetlejuice, so who knows what the fuck's out there.
He'll claim them, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you'll be able to tell, I would hope.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Most recently, since I guess this is a wrestling quote unquote show, you were at the Woodstock of wrestling, as I heard that coin somewhere. The Ric Flair roast, Ric Flair's last match. What was that like in a nutshell?
Well, you did hear it coined somewhere. It was coined by this very Jew right here. I called it the Woodstock of wrestling because you had peace for 3 days between every wrestling company you can think of. People coming to this show that would never come to a show in public, that were working for other companies, that everything was given the green light. People gave their blessings on this that you just would never think would happen. It was the planets aligning in the wrestling world, man. It was pretty wild. And listen, just to be there, like if they just asked me to write for the roast, I'd be psyched because I know I'd be able to go and meet these people that I grew up idolizing. These guys are like superheroes to us, man. And it's tough to explain to people who don't get it, but being able to meet these people and shake their hand and thank them, it's important, man. They lay their bodies on the line night after night. You see them, the older ones, you see it now, how they're, going through life. And it's like, those fuckers gave it their all, man. And I respect the shit out of any performer, whether it's physical, on stage, it's the toughest thing to do. So for me, just to be around those people was awesome. Then you throw in the fact that we're roasting the godfather of wrestling, Ric Flair, like, get the fuck out of here, and the comics on the bill are friends of mine. They're killers. They're huge wrestling fans. So when we're there, we're like 13 years old again, man. We're all just fucking elbowing each other, going, "It's fucking Lita over there," and we're just like, it was amazing, man. It was a great experience. I'm so thankful that Conrad is the genius that he is, and put that together and thought enough of me to invite me to be a part of it. It was amazing.
Now you said you'd be honored to just write for the roast. You were also on the roast for Bruce Pritchard. Was it Bruce Pritchard or brother? Yeah, Bruce Pritchard, right? And so have you always performed on the roasts, or did you start writing and then performing as well, or how'd that work out?
Well, I mean, performing and writing go hand in hand. Right. You can't do one with the other. So writing, yes, I've been doing for a while. Writing roasts is very different. And that was the thing that I was kind of, I'd done one roast back in Vegas before I left to go work for the Stern Show. And within 2-3 months, I think, or maybe 4 months of working there, the Stern Show was putting on their own roast.
Right.
and
Yep.
these were live on the air roasts that, Comedy Central, you're seeing a edited, condensed version of the best of the best. You don't see the people that go up and bomb and people that go too long and all that shit. So it was very nerve wracking to be thrown into that mix, and then you look at the lineup who were on these roasts. It was a murderer's row is Colin Quinn, Greg Giraldo, Nick DiPaolo, Lisa Lampanelli, Attell. I mean, just brilliant writers and comics, and can't wait. They ain't selling unless it's funny,
Right.
in wrestling terms, right? Nobody's just gonna laugh to help you out as a comic. Fuck that. These guys have been around. You got to earn that respect by having funny shit. And not to mention Artie, Artie being a part of these roasts too was phenomenal. So it was great. It was great. It was a great. That's what you need in life sometimes, is just to get shoved into shit that you probably wouldn't do if you had time to think about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but back to your original thing, the Bruce Pritchard roast was something that Conrad asked me to do at the first Star Cast.
Yep, it was the first one. Yeah.
Mike Lawrence, Dan St. Germain, who was on the Flair roast.
Yep.
Ron Funches, my buddy James Mattern, great comic, huge wrestling fan. So we were all a part of this roast for Bruce Pritchard, which was awesome and a blast. And I did it in a mask.
It was great.
Yeah,
great. So you've been on my list to have on a show forever, and then I saw the Flair roast, and I mentioned this earlier tonight. I saw the Flair roast, and I was like, I gotta reach back out to Shuli and see what we can do, see if we can get him on. And it literally was the initial kickoff of your set, and it had to do with Brad Nessler. Now,
oh yeah,
I'm a big college.
I thought you were talking about the Jeff Hardy joke.
No, Jeff Hardy joke was the Jeff Hardy joke.
Yeah. I just said I had to get to my hotel. I had to leave as soon as roast was over because I want to get to my room before Jeff Hardy hits the road. Yeah. And that kind of set the table. They groaned right out the gate, and I'm just like, well, in my head, I'm going, if you think that's bad, this next one's really gonna fuck you up.
So, my question for Mr. Brad, or for you about Mr. Brad Nessler, because I didn't know this information about him. Were you worried that what you were saying was gonna start trending on Twitter?
I mean, I love Brad Nessler, and he was the greatest sport ever, but that would have been so awesome. No, listen, first of all, so just so you know, when you're doing a roast, you're writing a roast, you literally can change a lot of shit up until the very last minute. Especially if you're going up late and you're seeing all these guys going up and doing all these jokes that you kind of have the same, and it's beaten to death. So you got to edit on the fly. You come up with shit with somebody that bombs on the roast and goof on them. So you're constantly editing, right? And the night before the roast, a bunch of us were staying at this Airbnb. And myself and Cassio, who was on the roast, a great comic, and I love Cassio. He's my buddy out here in Bama. And we were just kind of going over our sets, practicing them, timing it out because we had a certain time limit that we had to do. And in the course of it, I said, I don't have anything on this Brad Nessler guy. He's a legend in broadcasting. He's CBS college football, voice of the SEC, squeaky clean. Guy's a fucking Boy Scout, right? And he's the roast master. And so my juvenile stone mind goes from point A to point B, which is, oh, Nessler rhymes with molester. I'm going to call him a pedophile in a joke.
Not, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a natural jump, voices of SEC, boom, pedophile. So I write this joke, and the guys at the table, their jaws are on the floor. They're dying laughing. And I'm like, I got to keep this in. And then, of course, inspiration strikes. And as I'm going through my list, I'm coming up with more jokes. Cassio's giving me one. And I'm like, shit, I'm going to do this thing where I'm just going to keep going back to Brad Nessler throughout this set and keep calling him a pedophile. And look, this is something that, weed's a gateway drug
Right.
to not other drugs. It's a gateway to something you think is a really good idea at the time that when you sober up later, you realize this one got away from me. You know what I mean? I lost it. So at the time, this was the funniest shit any of us had ever heard. I couldn't wait to do it. If there was a stage, I would have gone up and done them all right that minute. And here's what happens. Right, I get to the venue the day of the roast, and apparently some of the guys were so impressed with the jokes that they told other people the jokes, and word got back to some of the higher ups about the Brad Nessler chunk, as we say in the comedy biz. So I was approached and I was told, we cannot have Brad Nessler walk off the show. And I'm like, he's not, because it's also in the delivery mechanism, right? As weird as that sounds, that you're calling somebody a pedophile and you're going, it's the way I'm saying it. But it is really that. Like,
Yes,
it's the energy that's behind it and how you put it out there. I've gone up and told jokes that I've killed with that didn't work because I was angry or my head wasn't in the right. It just didn't come out the same. Word for word, it's the same joke. It's the energy that puts it out. So, they were like, you got to talk to him before the show. I go, of course I'm going to talk. I'm not going to T-bone this guy in an intersection with this shit. And I met him backstage. I explained to him in a nice way, without revealing my hand necessarily. Listen, there's going to be some shit I'm going to say about you. It's going to be wild. And I just want you to be aware of it and okay with it. It doesn't come from any malicious place. There's not, and he was a great sport. He said, you do whatever you got to do. You're the comedian. He's like, and he was great about it. And I think I did like 5 or 6 pedophile jokes about him throughout the set. Which, I loved every single one of them. I missed one, cause they were wrapping me up. But yeah, it was a great experience hearing that wave. It was 3,000 people hearing that wave of groans and then laughter after each joke I'll never forget that. That was killer.
What was the Nestler joke you missed? Do you remember it?
Yeah. At one point I was going to look at Rick and I go, hey, Rick, Brad Nessler can't have dairy. Not because he's lactose intolerant, because of the pictures of the kids make him come instantly. And that was going to be the capper. But I think the one I ended on was, we're getting started, guys. The night's still young. So don't try to fuck it, Nessler. That was, I think, the last one.
That probably worked. I don't know why I'm laughing. I feel. Should I feel bad laughing at those jokes?
No, he was great. After the roast, he walks up to me. His wife was with him. They both gave me a hug. We took pictures. He couldn't have been a better sport. His wife slipped me a note that said, "You're right." And no, I'm kidding. But no, they were both class acts, man. He's a pro. The reason why he's a legend in the business. He was great. Everybody there was great. Everybody took, because I had some brutal shit, man, brutal. But I figure you got to make your mark at a roast, right?
Right. That's where it's done. Bully Ray, though. Bully Ray, this is the second time I've heard Bully Ray on a roast.
Yeah.
And he seems to be, and I think you said it on, with Bischoff. He seems to be going into business for himself. He's not roasting the way
a wrestler doing that. Can you believe that?
Exactly.
I mean, sit down for this news.
Is he a one-trick pony? I mean, he relied on tables his entire career, and now he's relying on not doing, typical roasting jokes. Like what's up with that?
I just want to state for the record because Bully knows where I'm at. He said it, Bully, not me. No, I don't think he's a one-trick pony. I think, and I talked a little bit about it with Bischoff. Wrestlers, I imagine, I've never been a wrestler. I've never been in the ring, but I've heard from a lot of them that they go, especially guys like Flair, they go by the feel of the crowd, right? And they can sense when they need to either pick up the match, slow it down. They're constantly vibing off the energy in the room, and I think Bully, at the end of the day, is a nice guy, at least to me, anyways. But that'll probably stop after I said that. But he's also up there with comedians who, this is what we do. This is we take this very seriously. We've been writing for weeks at this. Like, it's really not his bag. And a lot of those guys don't want to go up there and fucking, to quote Cornette, be flatter than a plate of piss, right? So, maybe it's an audible that he calls because he wants to get the crowd going in a different direction or something. Maybe he knows, hey, I'm not going to sell this properly because I don't feel this about these people, so it's not going to work. I don't know, but my only thing was, like, with you going up there and being like, I'm not going to say all these terrible things and rip up the jokes and then go, I love this man and I'm not going to be a dick to him. Well, what you're doing is you're burying the rest of the comics, because now whenever we say something that was just funny and kind of cruel, but more funny, and you knew it, now it's just going to be cruel. The funny's gone because they've been lectured that, this is not what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the high road here. And look, at the end of the day, if that's what he wants to do, by all means, I'm not going to stop the man. He's gigantic and scary. But yeah, I had already gone up, so I didn't really give a shit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's annoying. It seems like Bully's quote unquote letting people in on the work of roasts, which is kind of annoying, especially coming from a wrestler, but whatever.
Well, I mean, look, it's not like he's giving up how we blade during the fucking roast. You know what I mean? True. Like, it's a roast. People assume that people are writing, and a lot of the comics, I think all the comics that were in the roast wrote for the wrestlers and celebrities and wrote jokes for them as well to use. Did all of them use it? No. Why? I don't know. Maybe they didn't feel comfortable. Maybe they didn't like the jokes, but whatever there was an issue with, I know the comics that did, I wrote, some stuff for Vicky, who was phenomenal, had a great set. Great. She kept it, perfect time and read everything perfectly. Had great stories in there that I didn't even have to touch. That I'm just like, this is perfect. Tell this story. And then there's Ty Domi. What are you gonna do?
You talked about parallels and in the way kind of tell a joke and tell a story. Yeah. You're a stand-up comedian. If people didn't know that already.
Not according to Reddit. Go ahead.
Oh, really?
Oh, please. Everybody hates everybody on Reddit. It's fine.
That's true. What are the parallels between stand-up comedy and cutting promos in wrestling?
That's funny. I guess cutting a promo would be similar to doing crowd work in comedy, where you're just talking to the audience and trying to get something out of people and trying to make that funny on the spot. It's a skill. My buddy James Mattern, who I mentioned, he's one of the best hosts in New York City. Does a lot of warm up for TV shows. Like, the guy is so personable and can riff with anybody about anything. And so I think that's somewhat would be similar to cutting a promo is just kind of go, they have this, Jeremiah Watkins is a comic out of LA, has a show called Stand Up on the Spot, I believe it's called. All right. And the comic goes up on stage and they literally flash the topic up behind him. He has to look and see what it is, and then he has to make it funny. So
Improv,
that's
like improv.
yeah, that it's improv, but it's also, you know, that's the closest to cutting a promo we'll come to, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
But it would be good. They have roast battle. It'd be good if they had promo battles where just people, comics had to promo against each other. That would be fun.
I don't. Yeah. I mean,
Let me tell you something, Carrot Top. You know, stuff like it would be great.
and then he'd pull out some sort of prop to
Yeah.
cut you down.
Yeah.
Big pair of scissors or something.
You better bring all the props you got, motherfucker, because it's going down Sunday night, Flint, Michigan.
Sheboygan.
Sheboygan.
You fell in love with wrestling, WCW, 605, TBS, all that fun stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was the first wrestling I watched was Shivani and David and Ross was with Row Warriors, Flair, the Horsemen, Luger. It was great. It was, and then I watched WWF at the time as well, but I don't know, something about that NWA World Championship Wrestling studio wrestling. I don't know. I dug it, man. I really, really dug it.
Yeah, I think we were hitting on that studio wrestling before the quote unquote pandemic hit us hard. NWA was like peaking right before that,
Right.
And then it hit us, and now everybody grabbed the wrestlers, and it's making its way back up.
Well, NXT was like that for a while, right? Like that.
Sure.
It was up at Full Sail, and it was, it wasn't as small as the TBS show, but
Right.
I mean, it was
the
small.
same concept. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you look at that format that they had on World Championship, and it's so simplistic. My wife is amazing. I call her a chef. She's not a chef, but she might as well be. She's amazing when she makes stuff. And she told me a long time ago, the less shit you put in, the better it tastes,
Damn
right?
straight, yeah.
And that World Championship Wrestling was simplified to its purest form. You got a top guy or mid-card guy, you got a fucking jobber. You go in there, you squash them, you showcase all your shit, then you come out, you talk your shit, and boom, and that's it. Simple. And it worked. They told great stories. They set the hook in all of us back then. And it was great. I always loved though that they would cut promos about somebody and they'd be like, the next time I see you, I'm gonna kill you. And then they go to commercial and they come back and the guy he was just threatening to kill comes out and does a promo. It's like, how did you two not meet in the back? What happened?
They didn't pass each other. One left.
Right. But I love it. Anytime you can watch Cornette in his prime, I'm fucking down with that, man. That dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about a guy who would be amazing stand-up. That guy would be an amazing stand-up. Yeah. Even if you just, because there's some people that can, guy once told me there's people you give a phone book to read and it's just a phone book. And then there's people that can make the phone book funny. and he's one of those dudes, man. He could totally make it funny. Yeah. And I love his shit, man.
He gets a bad rap, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But he speaks his mind. That's why people, it's no different than Howard. The people that hate him listen more than the people that like him.
Yep.
It's that same principle. And I always respect somebody who speaks their mind,
for sure,
says what they want to say. Does he go too far sometimes? Yeah. I don't know, maybe, but like I don't know the guy personally. I think there's still an entertainer in him.
Yeah.
And so he knows what he's a lot, he's a smart man, not only in wrestling, but just the science of people and how to get reactions out of people and the psychology of, it started with Carney's. He's like, to me, he's like an OG of that. Like he'll fucking play with your head, man. He'll get you looking one way and come from the other. And I dig that about him. Plus, there's a lot of stuff that he talks about that I agree with. That's wrong with it today. So, you gotta be open-minded. It's if this last 3 years have taught us anything, it's like fucking, you can't just listen to one thing and run with it. You gotta have an open mind and understand and have dialogue and figure some shit out because it ain't good.
Right.
And he always said, which is I always find interesting, is that they peaked in the Attitude Era because they could never top what they did in the Attitude Era.
Right.
And so it's never going to be better than that. It's never going to get to that point again. It's interesting.
It
It's
is
interesting. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but he makes a good point.
Well, I think it's interesting because I think the main viewership that's watching wrestling right now, like my age, like maybe I think we're the same age, but our age.
How old are you?
I'm about 42.
Yeah, we're the same age.
Yeah, so our age, like we can't think it gets any better than the Attitude Era. It was the fucking best that it could be, and everybody wants it to go back to that. It's not going to. It will never get back to that based on a lot of different aspects of life. And I think Cornette has a good view on that. And I don't know. He gets a bad rap. Russo gets a bad rap as well.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I know Vince. He's always been awesome to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really a good dude, man. Sweet guy. Got to know him. Did some shows with Reverend Bob Levy on his network for a little bit called the BS Show.
Yeah.
Good dude, man. Really good dude. Good family man too.
Yeah, I was listening to that before. You mentioned Bob Levy. I have a whole history with Bob Levy. The
Blue cheese.
The miserable, time with Blue Cheese, the Miserable Men show that you probably have no idea about, but you guys used to do on the Miserable Men show, which was phenomenal way back in the day when it first started. You guys had and I don't remember the name of the program or whatever it was, but you were able to like video chat in. You guys were Zoom before Zoom was a thing, and I was there all the time, and there was one time I video chatted in. You guys had Beetlejuice on as well, and Beetlejuice got me and you confused.
Yeah. Can you believe that? That doesn't sound like him.
Yeah, right? And it was I mean, besides my kids and everything I've done with my profession, but it's the highlight of my life.
You don't have to tell me, man. I've been in a hotel room with Beetle watching Foreman Ali, and he's pointing to Foreman, telling me how he trained Ali, and I go, that's George Foreman, Beat. He goes, I trained him too. So he apparently trained both of them.
Of course he did.
Yeah. So he's the best, man. If you'd have told me, 13 years ago that I would miss rooming with Beetlejuice on the road, I'd tell you you're insane. But I miss the hell out of that dude, man. I loved hanging with him on the road and experiencing life with him and seeing how people reacted to him and how he reacted to people. It was amazing. We'd be in the airport. I remember this guy comes running up with his cell phone. He goes, "Oh my God, Pete, I'm a huge fan. My brother's on the phone. He's a huge fan. Can you say hi to him?" And Pete just goes, "Go fuck yourself and your brother." And the guy, I'll never forget, the guy gets back on the phone. He goes, "Did you hear that? That was awesome." He was so happy about it. I go, "Beat, you've carved out a place in history, man, where you can tell your fans to go fuck themselves and they leave walking on clouds."
Yeah. Beetlejuice was Cameo before Cameo was a thing.
Oh my God, he was, and he'd always just wander off. We found it when we'd bring him to do Miserable Men, because we would do Miserable Men Sunday nights, 7 to 11, right? And then I'd have to be up Monday for the show.
Yeah.
So we would literally land at JFK, and me and Levy and Beetle would get in a cab and go straight to Sirius with all our luggage. We haven't even gotten home. We do 4 hours of radio and then go home. So a lot of times he would be so fucking angry because he's not home, but he's back in New York, that he would just walk off. And we found him at a strip club in Times Square once. We found him trying to check into a hotel another time. One time on the road, he wandered off and came back with a Howard tattoo on his arm. So it's like, yeah. So you never know. You never know what you're going to get with Beat, but I miss it.
I do. I mean, I miss the entire Miserable Men show.
Well, you're in luck. We're back. The Miserable Men Show.
I heard.
Yes, we're back on Patreon. Myself, the Reverend Bob Levy, Mike Morse, who's another brilliant roast writer, wrote for Lisa Lampanelli for many years, and Mark Burns and Brent Hatley, another former Stern staffer. Yeah, so we've added swinging to the Miserable
allegedly.
Men. Allegedly, we all know he's lying. So yeah, we have a big crew now. We're back. We've done about 70 episodes, and I gotta say it's my favorite thing to do during the week is that show, because I end up just having tears running down my face. Everybody is so funny. We all just fucking kill each other. We have our own little whack packers.
Nice.
It's a fun thing. We tried doing it as a podcast in iTunes, and we got thrown off of that. So we're just on Patreon. That's the only place you can check out the show is patreon.com/The Miserable Men Show, all one word, and it'll take you to our page. But it's fun, man. You gotta come back in. You gotta get in there and check out some shows.
Actually,
Yeah.
can we find that page? Because I have. You're on Twitch, I have a bot throwing out auto commands. I have your link tree on there. Is it? Can I get it on there?
I believe so.
Okay, cool.
And if not, you can get my social media, and much like Vicky Guerrero, my DMs are wide open, so you can hit me up with whatever info you need. I'm kidding, Vicky. I love you. You know that.
I love Vicky.
I meant Tori. I just forgot. Go ahead.
Yeah, that sounds fucking phenomenal to me, because my favorite part of Miserable Men was, first of all, hearing Brett Hatley back on in any fashion is good as well. He still does lie. But trying to hear Bob spell was my favorite. I used to call in and try to get him to make an absolute fool of himself, which was easy to do.
Yeah. And it's the magic of Bob. Not a lot of hard work there.
Like, I use the words aisle, so like a grocery store aisle.
I got to bring that back. Next show, I'm going to throw that word up there and see what he can make of it. But we have, the fun thing about the show now is when he misspells a word or we just ask him to spell something, we have it. My producer, Iso, has it saved. We do it on StreamYard. So, while he'll be arguing about how smart he is about something else, Iso will just put in the way he spelled Hawaii, and it's like the fucking best, man. And he's a legend, man. He can give it as good as he gets, but he knows he's a radio pro, man. I love working with him again. I'm glad we patched up our shit.
That is good.
And we're pals again, and we might be going on the road to Canada together shortly. I'm supposed to hear back, but myself, him.
Yeah. I had your website up here earlier with your stand-up spots, and I missed them. I don't know where
no problem. I'm end of September. I'm in New York for a couple weeks. I'm going to be doing, I believe it's the 22nd, 23rd, or 24th. 3 shows. One in New York Comedy Club in Gramercy location, another one in Atlantic City Comedy Club, and then Fairfield, Connecticut. And then the following weekend, I'll be in Long Island at McGuire's in Bohemia, and you can get tickets through my website, shalomshuli.com.
Shalom. Well, Mr. Shuli, which I like to say, by the way, Mr. Shuli.
It's not a porn.
It's not.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, we'll explain it in another show.
We'll work it in the next show. We're nearing the end of the show. I could have you on all night. I mean, we could talk stuff all night, but I'm going to leave stuff on the table, like my kids do as well. And I'm going to give the mic to you. It's the end of the show. You can put over whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. You can bury anyone you want if you want. I will not interrupt. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, let me just put over. This is something that a lot of people probably won't expect and will come as a surprise. But I just want to put over myself, if you don't mind, because I'm doing a lot of great shit. We have the Shuli Show. We have a Patreon Patreon.com, The Shuli Show, where if you get on there now, not only do you get The Shuli Show, and if you subscribe on Apple or wherever you hear podcasts, available everywhere. I'm a very big deal in Bulgaria. According to the charts, I'm like number 54 or something. You sign up to the Patreon, you get access to the Discord of the Miserable Men Show Patreon. You get access to my Discord. Not only that, you get access to a ton of old Stern content that nobody else has because it's all shit that I have on my phone that I recorded, that I videoed, stuff with all your favorite whack packers. And I have a new show that you'll get as well ad-free through my Patreon called The Uncle Rico Show, where I bury numerous times a week a gentleman by the name of Stuttering John. So if you're into some real life shit and you want to hear a guy fucking get torn apart, you come check that show out. You check out the Miserable Men Show. You check out Uncle Rico. You check out the Shuli Show. That's what it's all about. ShalomShuli.com. And let me tell you something, pal. If you don't think I'm fucking serious about this, you can go fuck yourself. You understand? Let's do it, bitch.
It's phenomenal. Shuli, thanks for giving us your time, and fuck Stuttering John. Have yourself a great night.
You too, brother. Thanks for having me. Vanessa, you're a little too chatty. Keep it down next time,
she's
okay?
Very,
Thank you.
very chatty.
Appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
Later. Wow. Great.
We should just call the show Barry Vanessa.